hopefully maybe drinking was
a
bad thing for them. Whatever. All good. Okay. So, hold on one second. Okay. So the next thing on the agenda for the show, I'm so stoked about this part. We wanted to talk to you guys about and hear what your favorite part of love that you saw this week was. And we're not talking about our episodes, which we hope you also saw them.
But we're talking about like out in the world. What was your favorite part of love that you saw on the news, that you saw within your family, something that your kids did? We want to really incorporate this every week because this is the point of doing all of this.
Yeah, it's to take more stock of those things. So while you're getting yours together and thinking about it, we're going to tell you what ours is.
Yeah, and I want to start with just opening the conversation to the fact that I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm on this crazy emotional roller coaster, and because everything is so uncertain, it's like 1 minute I feel very grounded, I'm positive, I'm grateful, I'm staying in this very even playing field, mental space is good,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, I'm struck, and I'm like panic stricken, and I'm going down that rabbit hole of like all those terrifying what ifs. And I know a lot of us are doing that right now.
But the thing is, in the midst of all of that chaos, what has been so beautiful is what the world is trying to do to heal itself from that pain. And for me, one of the biggest things that I saw was like John Krasinski doing Some Good News. Do you guys know about this? SGN. It's incredible. If you don't know about it, go look it up. But it's just the most beautiful thing. And, just sharing good things that are happening in the world, because we can get really overwhelmed in this time. And that was that, and just things that are happening, people trying to take care of each other, has been my favorite part of love.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And I think for me, that shows me we can all feel our own feelings. If you're scared, you're scared. If you're stressed, you're stressed. We can also all be brave at the same time. It doesn't take away from the courage and how brave we are to all be going through this. So it's very beautiful. Yeah. What have you guys seen this week?
I love Some Good News. Right, Megan? All right. Here we go.
Thanks.
My boyfriend bought me an ice cream cake from Cold Stone Creamery, albeit late for my B-Day, which was the 6th, but still nice. Happy belated birthday.
Belated, babe.
What? I mean, super belated, but
I know, but that's so
I love
sweet.
Some cake. We're into it.
So many people are celebrating birthdays in quarantine, and it's the cutest to see like what families and friends and everyone's coming up with to like celebrate, because you can't do the normal things,
Walker, yes, singing a duet with my man.
Oh
live.
my gosh.
Okay, so you do it.
No, okay, our two very, very good friends, best friends. Ben Chavez, you have to follow him at Ben_Chavez, and his beautiful boyfriend Walker. They are hosting, Ben is singing and playing, and Walker is decorated and singing with Ben.
This week they were both singing. They did a duet, and it was beautiful and so amazing to watch.
Check them out. They go live every Saturday at 6 p.m. Get your Billy Joel requests ready. He's absolutely phenomenal.
Billy and Christine are both here. They're married, so it means a lot that they're on two different phones watching. That's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Hey, Betty boy. And Christine is here. So Val knows everybody.
Val knows everybody.
Shy. You watched Ben's thing? Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
He's incredible.
He's
unnecessarily talented. He could scale it back like 20% and still be phenomenal. Walker.
Oh, my gosh. Hi from Australia.
Australia. Oh, my gosh.
Okay. Let's get into it. Let's talk about this week's episodes. So then this will be next on the schedule. So this week... And I mean, it was a little stressful on the road to like make at least one video every week, but now we have a little more time. So we were like, let's go for 2. So we're doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, you guys, 2 episodes.
Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon. You'll always get a new video from us. And on the Tuesday ones, they're going to be a lot of you in the comments or DMs or emails. You've asked us for more vlog style content, behind the scenes, taking a look at everything. Harrigan says, hey, Harrigan.
Get out of here, Harry. You're so cute.
And you guys wanted to see more behind the scenes stuff. So this Tuesday was our first behind the scenes video of something that was really affecting us. So the lights that you're seeing shining on us, like these lights, we made them.
We made them. Well, a little backstory. So if you don't know this already, we have been, touring the country with the Broadway show Aladdin. And with everything going on, the show had to,
Thanks, Ben.
close down for a little bit. And so we were like, well, we need more lights because we've been doing this in hotel rooms across the country. Because if you notice, every single video, there's a different background, a different set. We're like, how are we going to do this? We'll go in like, turning on the lights in the bathroom. Do we have enough light? You know, and so we kind of
had like this ring light, and that was all. We had like a, makeup tutorial ring light. And we were like, yeah, this is great.
This is good. Let's squeeze our two faces.
Let's just both be here the whole time. And it was fine. But we need more light.
Right.
So we obviously can't get any lights delivered right now.
Looking on every single, person on Amazon that was selling lights, you can't get them. Obviously, totally fine because we need the essentials delivered for everyone. No,
Amazon, do not deliver lights right now. Deliver medical supplies and the essentials.
But I was like, there's no hope, babe. We're going to have to turn on all the lights in the house. And he was like, no, I'm going to make them. So comes home from Walmart, I think it was. He had his mask and his gloves with trash cans and, duct
shower curtains, gorilla tape, different animal tape.
And so not to say that I wasn't a believer, but I just opened the bottle of wine. Hey, M's over in Britain. And I, opened the wine and I was just going to observe. And the first time he did it, it proved me wrong. The light is beautiful. One light was made for under $20. I want to say it's like $18 a light, which is amazing.
And that's not even getting anything on sale. Right. That shower curtain shouldn't cost that much. But, if you can bargain shop it, you probably get it down to $15 a light. And considering they're usually $1,000, I think we made out okay.
Azrin, I got you later, girl. I'm going to write that down for, so just so you guys know, we're still doing our Q&A and we're doing it at the very end of the show, the last 15 to 20 minutes or so. So please, at the end, make sure that you're writing the comments so we see them again.
I love that. Oh, my occasions. That's great. We're going to have to come back to that.
That's
such a great idea.
Yes. People, just so I can say it out loud. Oh, my occasions. She said people are postponing their weddings. And I actually have friends that are doing that currently right now, going through that. So we'll definitely touch on that.
Yeah, we're going to be touching on it actually this week in the coming videos. But before we get to that, we got to talk about Thursday's video, which you guys, we reached 500 subscribers.
Like what? And I have to say, this is something that we just kind of have been dreaming about for a long time. And it's in the very, very baby stages. So we're so grateful that you guys are here right now as we grow and as we,
At the end of the video, we were like, well, we want to thank everybody individually, and we can. So we literally thank individually every single subscriber that makes their subscriptions known at the end of it's very Mr. Beast style, but we're going to do it again when we hit 1,000 and again when we hit 10,000. And if I can convince her, if we hit 1 million,
we're going to try.
I'm telling you now, mark my words, hand to God, million subs,
hand down.
Million subs, we're going to do it. It's going to take 3 weeks. It's going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be good. Either way, if you are in those first 500 subscribers and you didn't watch the video, go watch it for your shout out. It was really, really fun to do.
Val, the lights are on. So we were able to order light stands. And we already had a couple, but you can stack them on top of shelves. You can put them on whatever you want.
You can literally tape it to a wall if you need to, but the light itself
Gorilla tape will hold to anything.
Oh yeah, we found that out. It's amazing.
All right, so if you guys are up for it, we're gonna bring on our special guest, Brandon Alexander. Brandon, throw up the thing in here so I can bring you on.
When you can, babe.
Hey everybody, Andrew, Sylvia, Vanessa 2985.
Nice.
Brandon, where are you at?
Where you at, Brandon?
Quarantine equals postpone weddings and anticipate babies.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
I've heard some of that.
We gotta touch on that. Okay, do I press view for Brandon?
No. It's NewAgeGents and
nice.
I think so.
Go there we live.
Go. Boom. How to press a button down here? God, we're so bad at this.
We're still figuring this out, you guys.
Brandon, you coming in? Who's there? There he is.
There's
What's
our
up,
man.
buddy? Okay. Brandon.
I'm so happy.
Oh,
Cheers.
This is the best. Cheers, dude.
You. Cheers.
So, cheers. Sorry.
First of all, I love watching the two of you navigate this whole thing. Like, you guys are the But you're professionals.
Yeah,
you're killing the game right
too
now.
kind, far too kind.
Let's be honest, Brandon. We kind of remind everyone of their grandparents right now. We're
Yeah,
like, can
mostly
they
it's-
hear us?
Mostly it's
Do you
just.
think they can see me yet?
We were talking about getting onto TikTok today.
What is this comment here?
Exactly. Last week, I was literally scrolling back up through the comments, like, how do I get to the comments? And
it's
7
so
people were like,
embarrassing.
scroll up, just scroll through them. I was like, could you write it again? Lean forward.
It's so embarrassing, you guys, because it's fabulous to like be able to edit your videos, but then we
Oh,
go live
yeah.
with you and you find out the truth. Like,
If you guys knew what went into the editing portion, like the amount of space that we cut out where we're just like, is it on? No, it's on. Okay. So Brandon, dude, thank you so much for being here. We talked a little bit about your platform. We're so happy you're here.
And if you joined quickly,
Yes.
Brandon is the owner, the creator of NewAgeGents. It's an incredible platform where he is building better men. He is exploring what it means to be the modern day gentleman.
Yeah, the gentleman in 2020. And speaking of that, we were talking this week about aha moments, and we were talking about like our aha moment to create Part of Love came after I was writing for NewAgeGents for a little bit, and you and I had been, having a lot of deep talks, and she and I always, talk about love. And one night we were sitting there and we realized that like my partner, my best friend, my soulmate, and I had something to share with the world. And that was that aha moment of like, oh, we have to do this. And it's going to be a long road. It's going to be what it is. But what was your aha moment? Like, what drew you to create NewAgeGents?
What drew me to create NewAgeGents? I went home to Texas for a little bit.
Okay.
And I had been in LA for point, and I literally forgotten my like home training, if you will, right? Like the things that my mom and my grandma taught me to be a gentleman. So I get home. I think it's like the first night or the second night that I'm there. We're getting ready to go to the grocery store, and my mom is standing outside her door, and I get in the car, and she's like, "Did you forget?" And I just talked about this recently in an interview. Like, she's like, "Did you forget?" And in that moment, instantaneously, everything kind of rushed back into me about, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, thank you, please. Holding the door open, getting the door for the lady always, whether it's your mom or your girlfriend, whoever it is, you get the door, right? And so I just remember thinking to myself, my God, I had gotten so far away from the things that built me into the man that I wanted to become, and that would continue to carry me into the man that I wanted to be one day.
Yeah.
And that was my aha moment of like, man, the narrative at that time was there's no good men. There's no more good men. Right? There's no more good men.
That's the story of so many men and women I hear. Like, I promise you they're out there. It's just the training has been a little bit off the last couple of years,
That's it. The training's been off because it's not really valued. It's equated. It's so old school. But when I tell you it's not old school, it's the standard.
Mm-hmm.
It's not old school. It's the standard. And so, when I connect with guys like Colt, and I hear about you guys and how he treats you and these different things, I'm like, that's it. Forget the top hat and the vest and the 3-piece suit. Like, it's your character, it's your actions, and that's what people go for. So my aha moment was my mom really checking me and reminding me, like, boy, I raised you better than that.
Yeah.
Because you've been feeling yourself a little too much. You have a job.
You think you're somebody now.
You think you're somebody now. And I think that humility, to others was so missing because I hadn't seen it in Hollywood either. I kind of like adjusted to the lifestyle out here of what I saw of like, worry about you, take care of you.
Yeah.
And a very selfish mentality where, you weren't offering the person behind you in the grocery store the spot ahead of you. You weren't doing that thing. You were just in line for yourself. And so that was my aha moment, my mom. And I thank her to this day because without that, I wouldn't have got to this space of how do I combat this narrative that literally means that there's no more good men in the world. And where can you find them as if there's some extinct species or something like that, endangered species or something like that. Like there's good men everywhere.
100%. And this is something we're going to touch on a little bit later, but that whole, concept and narrative of what that is, what it is to be a gentleman. I remember, I can't remember who it is. Maybe it's Brooks Brothers that had put out these books, and it was a guide to being a gentleman. And I had the whole collection of them because it was like a gentleman has a suitcase like this and a gentleman wears this type of suit. But it didn't really talk about like how to just be a good human being. It was just like a gentleman is a thing you collect. It's qualities you collect. It's not who you are. It's something you put on.
Well, I'm going to interrupt really quick then and lead us into the next question because that's exactly the point. Brendan, you guys always says, first of all, it's a gentle man.
Right? Prefix, suffix, prefix.
Come on, it's Sunday, so you preach it.
Exactly. No, exactly. And he's like, what the world needs the most right now is gentle men that are leading in the world, right? That phrase is not just born out of class. You know, like you always say, it has nothing to do with that. Nope. It is about kindness and he always says, exactly. And he always says, being a gentleman is putting in the work on your emotional IQ, number one, and putting in the work to learn how to be vulnerable. And I die for this because as a woman who has dated a lot in her life in a lot of the major cities, the pool of gentlemen that have worked on their emotional IQ is lacking. It's lacking, you guys. I know everyone hears me. So
no, that's real.
I need. So
that's real.
What do we do about this? Like, why is this, and how can we help this?
How can we help this? You know, I think
how do we shift the mindset?
So I had a woman reach out to me the other day. It's not your job to. It's not your job to. And I feel the same way about women. I'm not reaching out and I'm not trying to help empower. Like I'm not trying to tell a woman how to be a better woman.
The mansplaining.
I feel like, from my experience, I can't speak on that. I'm a man, so I got to talk to men, right?
Yeah.
And as far as couples can speak to couples, I can't. You know, as a single guy, I've had relationships, so I think I can speak to people who are dating. But when it comes to marriage, I'm hands off because I have no stake in that realm.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
We've
so appreciate that.
A lot.
If you don't know firsthand, you cannot speak on it.
You can't speak on it, and it's not my place. You know, I have an idea. I have my own personal opinion and my own personal belief around that thing. But as far as like experiencing it, I've had married couples be like, "Baby, you are way behind the ears. You have no clue because you haven't tasted it. You don't know.
You don't know.
You just don't know. You don't know. You don't know."
But the things that you do know are so helpful to so many people, and like that's I mean, we've talked about a lot. The kind of not at all. Stay in your lane is the wrong. I don't know how to mess them up to clean it up. But you know what I mean, like.
Pause for the cause.
You know what I mean? It's that.
I hear you, but I have no issue with saying stay in your lane.
But you know what I mean? It's that feeling of being like, play to your strengths. Like, I know that where my heart lies, and it's almost that idea of FOMO with helping the world. Like, I don't have FOMO for going out. Like, fuck that. I don't care. But I do at times, like, I see certain charity things and I'll talk to her and I'm like, I feel like I should be a part of it. Like, should I be doing more? And she's like, you're doing what you are called to do. As long as you follow what you are called to do, that's it. But when you step out of that lane and you're like, you know what? I also have an opinion on this.
Yeah, you got to be careful, but you got to know where your strengths are. But I don't know. I just love that you always say that, like, you have to work on your emotional IQ. You have to work on being vulnerable. I die for that because it is something that we are searching for. And in society, we don't nurture men in this way to be comfortable with working on these things.
But here's where I see men being
Thanks,
comfortable
Kung Fu Panda. Thank you, Valentina.
Men feel comfortable around other men who are displaying the exact thing that you were trying to achieve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the comfort comes from, like, if I know that Colt is emotionally open and vulnerable, transparent, and I have some sense of wanting to understand what that feels like a little more, I'm gonna have more conversations with him because he's displaying it. 100%. And I think the best way for a man to really work on his emotional IQ is to get around other men who are doing the work, who are willing to be transparent, even in the midst of being terrified and scared of like.
Dude, okay. Keep going.
But the biggest fear men have is being depicted this weak. That's the biggest fear of a man is being depicted this weak.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump on this because it's literally the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about. So I grew up in Georgia. I come from a divorced family, like a split family. My dad lived in upstate, like, Blue Ridge, LJ, Pickens County, like in the woods. And, my mom lived in Marietta. So that was, those were two different upbringings, but they were both police officers. Both of the stepdads that I had in my life were police officers. I was raised around that kind of like man or men, that mindset. And especially one particular stepdad that I talked about in the Hardest Part of Love video, one of our second or third videos. He was a violent man, and the way that he took out his insecurities and his lack of emotional IQ was with violence. And his thing was stuffing down. Emotion was a bad thing. Emotion was terrible. You're not a man if you can cry. And the interesting thing was, since I've grown up, all of the strongest men that I've known or that I look up to now are the ones who have been through the shit and also simultaneously are willing to be emotionally open and be those things, because it takes so much more to do that. And so my kind of question, within that phrase is like, have you found, I know growing up in Texas, did you find that was one of the things that kind of inhibited you? And it's not just in the South, y'all. Like, this is also out in LA and New York. It's all variations on a theme.
Yeah. For one, I have to like kind of process for a second, because there's so many men who can relate to and feel that.
Yeah.
This idea of like being a man is the less emotion you show, the less you talk, the more man you are, right? The more
like the stoicism with lowercase stoics.
The stoicism in like in a negative way, because there's positive traits of stoicism.
Oh,
like,
stoicism is beautiful, but the concept, the philosophy of stoicism is super helpful.
Let's go, Colt.
Being stoic is fucking stupid.
Well, the way we used to know it.
So
romance. Hashtag romance.
Dude, I truly love this guy.
It's the best. I love this.
Growing up for me, though, I was actually not hindered from crying. I think the biggest thing about being a man was learning responsibility. That was the thing that was the biggest thing for me growing up in Texas, was responsibility. It wasn't crying. It wasn't showing emotion. It was responsibility. Because I was raised in a single parent home where it's just my mom. So for me, being a man was, you got to take care of the house. The yard needs to get cut. The trash needs to go out. These things that your mom shouldn't have to do, those are all on you. And that's where my biggest concept and idea of what being a man meant. Crying for me stopped because, not because a man told me to stop crying. I stopped crying because I felt like with women, I would be seen as weak. Not because of a man, but because with women, they wanted the guy who was a little more macho. They wanted a guy who was a little more.
I understand this. I can relate to this.
Because it was like a little more of a challenge to get the guy who couldn't cry, a little more of a challenge to get the guy who wouldn't open up, and then you got this guy over here who's emotionally available, who doesn't mind crying, and he's not that much of a mystery to you, so you really don't feel like it's a challenge there. It's not as exciting or thrilling because he's a little more in touch with his feelings. Yeah,
there's not as much work that you get to take reward for.
Wow, ladies, I hope that we're all listening to this, because this is giving me like a
Come on now.
Did I do that? Because in my head, Brandon, I swear to you, I was like, I need a man who is willing to be like, at the drop of the hat, like, we're going to talk about everything and anything you want.
Yeah.
But you're right. Maybe I was actually chasing the one that I knew I had to like have a challenge with. I had to break down. I couldn't really get to him yet.
Because I befriended so many girls throughout my years, because I was close to my mom, so I knew how to listen, and women thought that was good, because if I want to talk about the guy who dicked me over, or this asshole, Brandon's going to listen to me. So I was listening to a lot of women, I think I started to hear a lot of stories about things that really just were like, if you were to apply, if you were to, I don't want to say common sense, but if you were to just look at the facts of you're confused, you're not sure if he's into you, then you would just cut him off.
Yeah.
I don't know how he feels about me. Well, baby, then if you don't know how he feels about you, then that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Like, because a guy who's in touch with who he is you'll never question. You'll never question if he's into you. You'll never question.
He'll be honest to a fault.
He'll be honest to a fault.
That's exactly the thing.
And you'll know. You'll
Trust
never
me.
question it.
I get in trouble all the time for being too honest.
He's very honest. But honestly, he wasn't always like this.
I wasn't.
And you guys go watch our fighting video. I promise you, this took a lot of work. I'm just kidding.
No,
but it takes a lot of work to like, you got to take the hammers out sometimes and like beat each other down. And honestly, vice versa. But
I have to say though, for someone like Colt and myself, there's also a protection that happens. There's a protection that happens, Ange. And I think a lot of whoever's listening, please, ladies, there's a protection that happens with guys who are emotionally available. And then when it's not appreciated, when it's not seen, when it's not acknowledged, we form our own guard and we form our protecting ourselves. And it takes a certain kind of safety to feel good enough to do that again, because we've seen the outcome before of like, did I overshare to where she walked away?
It's oversharing. That's that huge fear is, I'm emotionally available. I've worked on my IQ. Did I just say too much? Like, have I tipped the scales and now I'm no longer cool for this? Now I suck for this? Like,
come on, Cole.
You know what I mean?
No.
Yes.
And then you don't want to, I mean, again, we talked about that in that video. The biggest fear that I ever had about love was that I was going to do everything that we went through, that I was going to go through that fight, that I was going to share everything out there. And that after all of that,
that I was going to judge you.
And then she's gone. And you got to start all over. And you're like, I'm not up for this. This sucks. Like, I don't want to do this again.
But I don't want to do it again. You don't. But go ahead, Ange. I want to hear from your perspective. That's why I was asking you that one day. Like, how does it feel being a person who created a safe space for this man to open up? That's not an easy task.
No, no pressure. No, it's not an easy task. But I think that when you commit to someone in any capacity, dating, even just, friendly dating, it doesn't have to be like, I know that you're the love of my life forever, but you have to respect that even if it's just a friendship, this is a safe space, at least as far as like, you have to, as a human being, respect that this person you're building the bridge. So you put out a little bit of trust, they put out a little bit of trust. You put out a little bit of trust, they put out a little trust. And honestly, sometimes you get burned a little bit on both sides, depending on what relationship you're in. Yeah. Fine. That's a part of life. So I think it's balancing how much you put out there and how much but it's your responsibility. If you're listening and you're in a relationship with someone that's sharing, be supportive of this, please. Do the right thing and listen to this love, because at the end of the day, like I always talk about, my favorite thing to talk about is the child, right? So that child is talking to you, not the man, not the woman, but the child inside is talking to you. Be there for that child, regardless of whether it's the love of your life, your best friend, whatever. If you've engaged in this way, it's your responsibility as a human being, as a beautiful soul, to just fucking be there for them, And I don't really have much more to say than that. Like that
was gold.
Yeah, you don't have to say anything else.
Coming in right now. That preach, I'm with you 1,000%.
Right.
There's hearts coming in.
Love thyself.
You don't have to say anything else. You don't have to say anything else to that, because when we talk about insecurities, when we talk about hurt, we talk about wounding, we talk about trauma, right? People often try to relate it to the
Megan, I'm gonna come back to that.
Them, but they don't acknowledge the kid who had an experience that is now propelling and driving who this adult is.
Absolutely.
They don't want to acknowledge that.
Absolutely.
You got to acknowledge that person's childhood experience is now driving their adult life to where they don't know how to accept rejection. They don't know how to deal with abandonment. They don't know how to deal with not feeling good enough. They don't know how to deal with not being pretty enough. They don't know how to deal with being in a healthy relationship where there's not abuse.
Brandon.
Okay.
Yes. This is why, though, we started Part of Love.
We just talked about this today. There's this like concept that we're all supposed to know how to love. Like we're all supposed to know how to do this incredibly hard and really intricate thing. Like Like
it's natural, right?
Like, it's just, it's love. You'll know it when you know it when you know it.
There's handbooks, just like a driving guide.
Yeah.
Like handbooks, just know how to
As if life and like so many other things, we have to take a test for driving a car, but no, just throw your soul out into the world and fucking figure it out. Like, no, thank you. And we would sit here and we'd have these conversations and be like, and the thing was, I remember I posted a picture once that was me with an ice cream, with a frozen custard, because I'm obsessed with frozen custard. And I remember sitting there and I was by myself in Vegas and I was like, nobody can tell me not to have this. I was a 30-year-old man and the little boy in me was like, I feel like nobody knows. It's like,
we're all these little babies inside, right? Like I will tell you guys, and some of my best friends know this. On my wedding day, so Colt gets mad at me sometimes because he was doing the ugly cry with the vein popping out of his face.
Oh, I just ruined those photos.
And I when I get excited, I close my eyes and my mouth is open. So I'm like I'm so excited. And it was one of those days that the little girl was so freaking excited and just mouth open, couldn't stop laughing. And I remember standing there with him and saying like our vows and going, am I old enough to do this? I promise you I was old enough to do this. I was almost 30 years old. Yeah. But I live as that little girl, you know, we all do. We all live as that little kid. So the root of our love comes from that child. And if we haven't healed it,
I get to have sex.
Like he says it to me.
Whoa.
I get to have sex with you.
This is awesome.
This is very weird. Like
we get pretty giddy.
You know, it's
we get pretty giddy.
That's okay. Hold on one second. I got to answer a couple of questions while you're here. Valentina on YouTube, Valentina 1985. See, I will try to figure out how to add subtitles in Italiano.
Oh, grazie, yes, we're working on that. Megan, we're getting to that question though for later. Megan Webb, one of our first subscribers.
Thanks, addiction. We're going to come back to that.
Yes. But Brandon, I'm going to lead you into the next question.
Okay, y'all. Ooh. This is a heavy one. So everybody, strap in, buckle up.
Yeah.
Take a sip.
We might need a little sip for this one.
Not a big one.
Here we go. A little sip.
We're going to go for this.
This is the heaviest thing we talked about.
Everything's on the table. We're all here together.
Not a kid show. Probably why YouTube was like, well then, fuck you.
I know they did kind of kick us off.
YouTube kicked us off in the beginning because it said not community guidelines. I was like, what? I don't.
This is drinking.
Is it the drinking?
I swear we're not alcoholics.
No. Highly functioning. All good.
I'm just use this because this is like
9.
I'm not an alcoholic.
No, but we're in quarantine. The rules are different. The rules have changed. I don't even know if there are any rules anymore.
You gotta stock up.
That's the thing.
Sweetie. Wholesale.
You got to get the big bottle. It's just saving money. Honestly, it's
saving money.
Efficient. It's financially efficient.
I can't with the two of you.
Okay, sorry. All right. Next. So after all that, here's the heavy question,
Pay
everybody.
Attention. Okay. Okay. I'm not going dark, but I need this to be something we talk about today because it's so important to me. I was watching an interview that Brandon did this past week, and he said something that really, really shook me. 75% of suicides in the United States are males. 75%, you guys, are male. Okay, now we have an inkling, right? But I want you to recap. Why is this? What can we do? How can we help?
I've been speaking on this from my own opinion and my own personal experience. You did drop in real quick.
Told you.
I'm sorry.
I done told you.
Take a second.
I done told you.
We're good. We're solid.
No, you're right.
When I think about the idea of worth and value and what men associate their worth and value with, it literally, most of the time, it has nothing to do with their individual personality, identity. It has to do with the kind of job they have. It has to do with the car they drive. It has to do with the woman that's on their arm. And it has to do with how they produce in life. It's all results based.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not producing in any of those realms, or if you're not producing in one of those realms, you feel like you have no value and you feel like you have no worth. A man loses his job, he goes into depression. A man loses the woman that he tried to obtain, he goes into depression. A man can't have kids, he goes into depression. Because a man should be able to, a man should be, a man is, a man, these are things a man should be. And the second you aren't able to produce what a man should be, you feel like you have no value and you have no worth to add to the world. And the biggest thing with all of that is men have been conditioned for the most part to not talk about their deepest, darkest, saddest moments of feeling unworthy, unvaluable, their abuse they may have occurred as a child, their hurt, their deep hurt. I think for me, even my biggest thing that I find a hard time to talk about is my idea of abandonment and how it's affected my adult life and how I love. It's hard to talk about because, by the way, there's a plane passing over, but we'll finish this for sure. But my idea of abandonment and how it filters through my love life, my adult life.
It's a big plane, but it's a good microphone because I can still hear you.
I know, we can still hear you.
You know what? It's dramatic effect. Plane. It's a dramatic pause.
I'm by Burbank Airport, and literally every maybe hour, 30 to 40 minutes, there's a plane flying over. Huh? But one of the hardest things for men to do is to open up about the things that really trouble their hearts. And 100%. So the next thing I think that comes is, what's the point of me being here?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's the point of me being here? I have no worth. I'm adding no value to the world.
And I think that we as women can't understand that feel. We can understand the feeling of, you know, I have so many friends that have struggled with getting pregnant. So many friends that have struggled with just their careers, you know, trying to get married, being validated and someone wanting you, trying to get married, you know, all of these struggles with validation we all have. But what the overriding factor for women is that we have a much more open and accepting community. The conversation is already on the table. There's so many resources we have to talk about these problems, you know? And I always say, like, if it wasn't for the women, especially what we do, the women in the dressing room raised me. And I continue to raise those babies. If you're a performer, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like we're paid to like strip our clothes off and like put our makeup on and then go out and perform. But it's the 7 hours before your performance that you're talking, you're connecting, you're communicating. It's such a beautiful world. And I'm so grateful to be a part of that. Men have it differently. You are judged if you want to reach out to one another. I think that's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And I think when people look at a relationship that I like, the one I have with Colt, it's not the norm.
No.
That's why you call it bromance, is because it's not the norm. If it was the norm, no one would call it bromance.
There wouldn't be a name for it.
That's how men are. That's a friendship.
Absolutely.
Two men are connecting and they are vulnerable and they're transparent. They have no fear of sharing the fact that I enjoy this other person, which women have literally have the kind of the freedom to. I mean, sister wives are a thing. Women can do so many different things that are like okay societally that men could never do because it's not the norm for men. It's not the norm for them. Now, I'm not saying that we should go out. I'm not saying, hey,
brother,
Colt's my husband, brother. But like the fact that we connect and the fact that we're close and we have zero shame in connecting and being honest with each other, that shouldn't be something so rare.
No.
In society. It should be the norm.
I've got to say, I'm very fortunate that both of my, since I was 11, best friends, my best men at my wedding are on here. You are on here. And I feel so blessed to have that. And I think that's the support that got me through the questions that have come up tonight and those things. You know, there were those dark times where I didn't know, and that was before I even had the weight of being a man on me. That was as a boy thinking, why go on? Like, what am I going to be able to do being already a shitty boy? Like, how can I be a good man? And then there were so many years in between there. And I just talked to Billy about this the other day. Like, you know, some of our classmates from college did a Zoom. And I said, you know what, I had something else to do that I committed to, so I wasn't able to do that. But even so, I don't know that I would have wanted to be there because I didn't like the person I was then. And I don't want to fall back into habits of making anybody else comfortable to you know what I mean? I don't want to fall back to that person that I was.
To make them comfortable. So you have to now become who they knew you to be.
Yeah. And it's just an interesting thing. Like, we are so tied to the children of our past. And it wasn't until I remember that it wasn't until we had a lot of big talks where I essentially, you know, I took some time to, whether you want to say pray, meditate, align your chakras, I don't care what you call it, but I had some time where I could just quietly sit and talk to that kid and be like, hey, you're good. I got you. And when you can take care of that kid, then I think you're okay to start being the person that you want to be. But it's until I looked at that little boy and was like, hey, you made it. I got you. I will carry you through the rest of this. Like, chill. Like that I think it takes all of that self-introspection, as it were, to just acknowledge this is fucking hard. Life is hard. Love is hard. It does not get easy just because
love is hard.
That's
y'all.
Okay.
Okay. That's good.
That means everything he sure does.
Hella quick. This got you real fast.
I mean, that's the problem with having you on the show. It just the truth will set you free.
But honestly, you guys, have you ever seen anything sexier than two very sexy men that love each other? Like, in this like way that is just like so, like, the friendship is so real. Like, I die for it.
Thank you. I think something Colt said that, honestly, you know, there's someone I care deeply about in my life, and we've been talking about her childhood and kind of watching how it's played out in her adult life. And I think there's a part of me that, like, you could hug the person, but a part of me really wants to hug the child. I mean, as deep as that might be, like, hey,
we're not trying to interrupt. Speaking of the child, sometimes she
was having a bad dream, so we had to wake her up.
That's good. You guys are good parents.
Yeah, she doesn't like it.
There's something in being an adult that, you know, the other day too, with that same thing being said, like, I had a day where I literally felt 12 years old, like I was on a field trip because I was so happy. And I remember, I don't know if you guys remember field trips. It's like, give me $5, give me my lunchbox, and we're set for the day. There's no class.
I'm not in school. Don't give me anything. Give me no school.
Whether it's the museum, the aquarium, I don't give a damn where we're going, but it's a field trip. I remember feeling that way. I mean, I'm 31, but I remember feeling 12 years old. And giving myself permission to feel that was such a major win for me, because there's no one to give. The only person signing my permission slip now is me. You want permission to love? You sign it.
Yes.
You want permission to be vulnerable? You sign it.
Okay, big man.
You want permission to be the real you? You sign it. Mm-hmm. You want permission to make mistakes? You don't need anybody else in your life right now to sign your permission slip for anything you want in your life but you, and you own that, and your signature is good enough. That's it. Also very important to follow up on that stunningly beautiful point. Nobody else has a pen that writes on your fucking permission slip. It just doesn't work. You can ask everybody. I can ask Angelina for her permission to do something, but until like for her permission for me to be the man I want to be. But it wasn't until I was like, fuck, I got to stop looking to everybody else, every celebrity, every this, every that, for who I want to be. Yes.
I just got to be that person.
But isn't that the next step? Truly, like, trusting yourself, like that is the ultimate step. Like, listening to yourself, like, because we can only hear God, we can only hear, you know, whatever your thing is, the universe, whatever. We can only hear it within. So, like, that's the ultimate step of freedom, is like trusting yourself there, and that's a big step.
Yeah.
That's not.
All right, so I'm gonna call it because we got to spend the last 10 minutes with the live questions. But Brandon, the best thing about it is we never run out of stuff to talk about, and as I've said to my best friends before, like, that's how you know. So thank you so much. He's bringing his pups over.
Oh,
you bringing the pups over?
Come here. They both may not come. Just Austin. Come here,
Austin. You guys, while we're waiting for Austin, let's see this baby.
Come here, sit down.
Big boy.
Sit down. He's a big boy.
They are big boys. His boys.
Oh.
There he is. Are you hanging out?
Oh.
Yes. They were both sleeping.
Apparently, just everybody's coming into the party now.
Nice. We're all here. Okay,
Just-
everyone, get your dogs, get a sip, give them a kiss.
Get your drinks. Dogs and drinks.
Dogs and drinks.
Dogs and drinks. One last cheers
Dogs and drinks.
to Brandon. Thank you so much for being here, brother.
We love you so much.
Love you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For everyone, before we sign off, please follow Brandon at
NewAgeGents and at the Brandon Alexander.
He's has a beautiful platform. We're gonna have him on here so many more times, and we have so much collab to do. But we'll see you.
Yeah, we're gonna be working together a lot. So thank you guys so much. All right, Brandon. I'm sure we're gonna talk like in 10 minutes when this whole thing ends. So we'll talk to you in a second, brother.
I love you guys. You're the best. You're
Love you,
amazing.
dude.
Oh man, amazing. Thank you guys.
Love you. Okay, you guys.
Okay,
Back?
so for the final little section, he really is a great guy, Bash.
Oh, he is. Amazing.
Bash, yeah. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Just show me the pups.
Just show the pups. I'm with you. Delani.
Delani,
You got a dog and a
kids.
lizard?
A lizard. Oh my gosh. I would love to see the lizard. Q&A time. Here we go. So I apologize.
Mary Ellen? I'm
Mary
sorry.
Ellen?
Is Mary Ellen Ty here?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I just got nervous.
This is like our second mommy.
Billy's
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Look right. Chill. At casual, say nothing.
You guys, put your comments again below, because like we said, we're 75 years old, and I'm gonna scroll right now. But I just Nikki, get out
just
of
had a
here.
cupcake. I love
best
it.
Friend, her 5-year-old Elias just had his birthday, and it's one of those times where like you got to make the best of it, right? So Nikki is in the apartment in New York City. P.S. This family, she's holding the broom with a Spider-Man piñata. Elias is whacking the piñata in the living room with the, like you do what you got to do, right? You put the piñata on the Swifter. They're incredible parents. I love you, Brendan. Okay, so let's get into the Q&A part of this. I'm gonna
we're gonna scroll back.
this, but babe, I want you to talk about the number one question we got this week. Overriding question, because we only have like 6 more minutes. The overriding question we got this week was,
ironically, the same thing that we were doing that we've previously written for this upcoming Thursday's episode. So we have an episode coming out Tuesday. So in 2 days, we have a new episode coming out. #PS It's called Laughter is the Best Medicine. You guys check it out. It's a charity video that we did with Abigail Breslin. It's very, very special, very near and dear to my heart, to our hearts. And it's literally us telling jokes to each other for like 10 minutes for charity, for children. It's incredible. And I'm going to tell you how to help out as well on Tuesday. So check that video out. In addition to that, on Thursday, we're talking about the most requested question that we've had, which is dating in quarantine. Brandon, I know you've talked about this a bit. And you've asked about it. We've talked about it.
you guys, I'm sorry my face is so big right now.
No,
I'm like 75. I'm trying to go scroll through the comments. Just keep talking.
So on Thursday, we're going to talk in detail about how to date in quarantine. And this means singles who are trying to literally date and find somebody to date. We're talking about people who are dating but separated. And then third, we're talking about couples that are dating and quarantining together and how to keep it sexy, how to keep that magic. And if you think that dating stops when you get married,
oh no,
you're wrong.
You got to keep the spice, baby.
Like, come on.
I'm looking at the clock and I'm feeling pressure. We're going to be better about next time.
I think we should add answer Megan's question, because she had asked.
Answer Megan's questions, what we get to next. You guys, let's sign on right at 7 p.m. next week. That way we'll be a little quicker. We'll answer more questions.
Yeah, maybe we'll even come on a few minutes early at like 6:58. And then boom, we can start promptly at 7. But so Megan asked a question. Megan Webb asked a question. What do you do if instead of having somebody who's oversharing, what if they're undersharing?
Ooh.
Like, what if you have somebody who just won't share? How do you get them to do that?
We've dealt with a lot of that. Oh, you put it right on me.
Well, you dealt with a lot of that with me.
I dealt with that with you, but trust me, you were not the number one undersharer that I've ever dated. Most men are
Agreed. Hair tutorial. Yes. Sorry, some people are asking for a hair tutorial from her.
Girl, I don't know if we got any hairstylists in the house. Like, I need a DM me like a tutorial on how to give this a snip. If your partner is not sharing with you, like I said, watch the fighting video. If you love them, if you both truly in your heart know that you're on the same page, on the same level, but just the communication skills are off, you got to take out the frickin' sledgehammer and you got to get in there. I know it sounds a little aggressive, but you have to, with love, with patience, and with all the love in the world, you have to go in there and say, I need this from you. I cannot live one more day without sharing your pain, without knowing your story, without whatever it is, right? I have to get in there with you. Please, I love you. And I promise you, little by little, the more you push this, they're going to get mad at you.
They're going to do one of two things. They're either going to get mad enough and be like, I don't want to share that with you. Fuck off. And then they'll leave, which good. That answered your question. If they don't share with you after you ask enough times, this is what we talked about a couple of weeks ago in one of the videos, which was you have to be able to know two things about any relationship. What are you willing to sacrifice for that relationship? And exactly equally, what are you not willing to sacrifice? Hey, Alex, like, what are you not willing to go through? Like, are you willing to not know this person? Because if you don't know them, how can you love them? Yep. And if they don't know themselves, how can they truly love you?
Yep.
It's
about doing the work. And sometimes it doesn't mean that they're not right for you if they haven't done the work yet. They just may not know about the work. We're not trained to know how to love each other. You know, it's a natural human reaction to love somebody, but how to do it well, we don't know. There's no book on this, you know, so that's what we're talking about. You have to get in there and help them. You're working together. So you got to work together. We're going to talk more on this, though.
I'm so sorry. Brandon was such a great guest that we only got like through one question at the end. But what we do want to say is, here, let me. Oh,
we're going to take down just so we don't miss all these questions, you guys. We're going to take
them down and do them on the YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. So if you guys haven't signed in or subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do it right now. Find us, Part of Love channel.
Anything you missed on here will be on there.
Exactly. You'll see our faces and we're going to continue the conversation there. But we love you guys.
Okay, last thing.
If you're signing off on Instagram.
We do this every single night and it's super important to us and we wanted to share it with you. So if you will, take your glasses, non-alcoholic or otherwise, hold them up. Repeat after me. To another beautiful day.
To another beautiful day.
One day at a time.
One day at a time. We love you guys.
Cheers. Thank you so much for joining us. All right.
Nice. Okay. Instagram is wrapping up. And hopefully slowly we're going to get our YouTube people to come on YouTube and finish this out because
we got cut off a little early, so we've got some time.
Totally. There's a couple questions that I think we need to get to.
All right.
We're just going to take a second.
Neve, yeah, you caught us online, right here, Kung Fu Panda. First off, fantastic name. If you're still here, if you're not, if you come back and watch this, fantastic name. I'm going to put it in the comments because Kung Fu Panda, what a great name.
Right. That's the greatest. Can you, I don't know your password, or I know your password. Yeah, you do. I want to look at the comments. There was a comment we had that I saw quickly. I forget.
Not available just yet.
Oh, it's not available yet. Okay. There's a comment that I just remember. Sorry, you guys. It said,
Carlos, thank you so much.
Hey, Carlos.
I'm going to type this while you're talking.
Someone I really like a lot is dating someone else, and we kind of like each other, but it's very hard for me. Okay, well, a couple things there. Number one, if you really like each other, great. That might happen. Sometimes, you're in a relationship and you kind of lose interest a little bit, and then you're interested in somebody else. Great. If he is continuing to date this person and not you, we have a problem on emotional IQ, right? This is an emotional IQ problem.
Yeah.
So this person has not worked on themselves enough. This is not a reflection on you and how they feel about you. This is a reflection on them. They have not worked on themselves enough and how to internalize. Val knows what I'm talking about. How to internalize. Okay, I'm in love with someone, but I don't want to hurt this someone, or they're too insecure or too immature with their ego, and they love the attention coming from both sides, right? This is horrible situation, and I'm so sorry for you. I'm not really sure how I would deal with this other than just pulling back. if this person is meant for you, they will, better themselves and learn how to learn about themselves and deal with their emotions and fix themselves. You do not put yourself in a situation where you're begging for their love.
Yeah, no. This goes to exactly what we were just talking about. Know what you're not willing to accept.
Exactly.
And that means respect yourself enough, love yourself enough to know yourself honestly and go, hey, no, you can't treat me like that. And I think Oprah said it really well. I know I'm gonna quote some Oprah here. She said it really well too. Was it Jennifer Lawrence? I saw this in like an interview of an interview.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But apparently at some point Oprah gave this advice to Jennifer Lawrence. She said, you have to tell people, you have to show people how to treat you.
Yes.
You have to let them know what you are willing to accept from them. Because if you let people walk all over you and in your heart, you're like, I don't like that. They should know that. You let them do it.
Absolutely.
And I know I'm guilty of that. I've let people do that to me a lot.
I'm guilty of that too.
And
honestly,
vice versa. I've walked over people that I knew I shouldn't have been doing, and I showed them who I was in that moment. And I'm so sad about that. But
as you guys follow us and as you get to know us, you're going to find a lot of these stories, even with us, they pertain to our relationship, and we'll let you know more. But I've gone through that, I haven't always asked for everyone's highest self while we're dating, but you have to respect yourself the most, I think, in this situation.
If there was one thing that we could, like, a takeaway from tonight, that we could say, we could wake up, snap our fingers, and the world would be different tomorrow. Obviously there's a million things that we would do, but with regards to the live tonight from Brandon and us, I wish that tomorrow you would wake up and men, women, non-binary, everybody would love themselves enough and know who they were and know that them loving themselves was the most important thing so that they could love everybody else. Absolutely. And I think whether it was us or Brandon's platform, NewAgeGents, I just think that is so, so important. And that's the through line of all of this love.
Absolutely.
Valentina, I believe you said you are Italian and don't speak English, so the subtitles, I don't know if they're going to transfer here. That is a question for a much, much longer time.
Longer time, yeah.
And I'm not sure.
Wait, I'm going to go scribe up. Should we scribe? Scroll.
Just scribe. Feckin'. I love you, Neve. That's amazing.
Oh my goodness. There was another question. I wish we could log on to our live.
Let me see if I can now. Sorry.
We love you guys. We know that the struggle is real as far as dating right now and love right now and love in all capacities, whether you're single. And I'm so excited for Thursday's video because we're touching on all 3 points of this, whether you're single and you're still, I actually have to call my friends and be like, what's going on? Like, are people swiping even though you can't really meet up? Is this still like an active platform? Because we have so many ideas about that, or whether you're kind of seeing somebody, but you aren't quarantined together, or whether you're sitting at home together and trying to figure out how to retain the frickin' fire, you guys. We're going to touch on all of it. And I think it's going to be a really funny video. That'll be on Thursday. Tuesday's video, please tune in on Tuesday at noon. This is a very, very important charity video.
It's a charity video for pediatric patients. That means children under 15 years old. This is super duper important. It's sharing energy and love with them and giving them some kind of connection right now in this quarantine time. They're separated a lot of times from their families, from any connection. So we are doing our part, and we're going to show you how to do your part on Tuesday.
Absolutely. It would mean the world if you watched the video and then followed it with, doing what we're asking of you. Valerie
Lerma, you're way ahead of the curve, because that is a huge part of what we used to do when we were on tour, or when I was on tour, or when she was on tour.
Val is so smart. We're gonna
Val knows.
I feel like she and I are connected like sisters. Like, I don't know how you meet people through all of these like beautiful connections. But
so y'all, thank you so much for being here for the first official, like structured live with Colt Ang.
Yes, and before we wrap up, I want you to remember, always, please, I'm always on Instagram now. I've learned how to slide into your DMs and answer your questions. So please keep sending your questions every week. We love you guys so much. And one last baby cheers to you.
Yes. Thanks for being here.
Stay well, stay safe this week. We'll see you next week at 7
p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks, y'all. Oh, I hit the wrong button.
And
how did I do this?